What's going on, guys? Brett here for another video here at Traders Profit Club. Today we're going to be talking about some essential things when it comes to market breakouts and how we catch these breakouts. So that being said, I'm going to start off with going into Bitcoin first because we're going to see something that's going to be very, very, very important in the near future with how Bitcoin's moving right now. And I did this analysis I put on the Discord yesterday, talking about where these faculties and what my hypothesis and market awareness is where price is going to be. So that being said, as you can see, that price is definitely having this consolidation range between around 3,600, between 3,600 to 3,750. So what this means is that the consolidation in these areas, or in this area of price, is showing that there's going to be a range. And this range is definitely happening before a breakout. So a lot of you guys know that I talk a lot about consolidation, how consolidation is 50% of the market, and then trending is 50% of the market. So right now we're in that consolidation range, and then the next 50% or the next turn will definitely be a bullish or bearish breakout. So that being said, I wanted to talk about where market price is probably going to be moving in the near future and see the times that and the perspective of using indicators and using price action to show you guys exactly what I mean. So the market awareness, really what I'm talking about market awareness is that there's different type of ways the market moves, right? So there's time frames, there's days where the market consolidates or when it rises and so forth. So that being said, market structure low is basically what we talk about when the price is having a low formation. So the low formation is when price is in this area and it's essentially making these lower areas, but it's definitely not having lower lows and lower highs. So it's not a trend, it's more so a consolidation, which we like to call a chop, or having a choppy market, or call it consolidation. You can call it either or. So that being said, when we're looking for a breakout, we want to look for the direction that's usually opposite of the peak formation low. So the peak formation low is a deciding factor that market is now done with this trend, right, to the downside. And we're talking from a micro perspective. We're not I don't want you guys thinking that we're going to be going up to 18,000 and so forth. I'm just saying from a micro perspective, this was on a bearish trend for a little while now, where price was moving to the downside. Oops, looks like it's lagging right there. So price is moving to the downside, and we saw that break to the downside, and then we can see consolidation. So usually the market likes to retest previous highs, and not just that, it likes to have a nice pattern recognition that definitely goes with previous structure. So as you can see, that there is a huge breakout to the downside from this higher levels of 4,000, and this is where we thought that price was going to go higher. So in our previous market signals, we were actually long, so we got out of this position waiting for the consolidation. So what happens at this time is that a lot of people are shorting because the time that people short is during fear, especially with fundamental data coming out. So we had that fundamental data coming out for Bitcoin 2 days ago. So a lot of people are definitely like, oh, is it short? So what happens is that price will drive the opposite way of that fear indicator. So then we see that price will then drop back. And then, hey, Justin, good to see you, man. Great to see you guys on this video. So what we're going to see now is possibly price is going to be going to the upside. We're going to definitely be looking for a short-term game between 4,000 is probably going to be our take profit, where we're going to see market probably retest that previous high before we see consolidation in that area. And if we do see a built-up consolidation at previous highs, which is this area of 4,100, and price then comes up into this area, then we definitely want to see a consolidation, maybe a flag pennant or a symmetrical triangle and so forth, that shows that there's more pressure to be built into the upside. And obviously you want to see MACD low onto the downside if we're on this area to the upside, because then it has more momentum to go higher. So that's what we want to see for Bitcoin coming into the near future, guys. So I'm going to be doing a signal once my trade or my entry is valid. Right now I still see market is having that hard time breaking that 50 moving average and having that low. So I want to see that consolidation and probably see that turnaround in the near future before we see that upside momentum. So if price decides to do that, we're going to definitely be seeing some nice profits. So this is where we're talking about breakouts. So as you guys can see, that this was essentially a breakout to the downside. So what we want to call this a breakout is more so of a market zone shift. So market zone shifts are when market decides to shift the zone from one liquidity area, which is this spot right here. So the liquidity from the upside was then shift to the downside, and then now that this area has been built up with liquidity, the market will then shift once again to an opposite direction, or the same direction it was previously going towards. So I'm going to remove these drawings, you guys, just so I can show you guys exactly what I mean. So this area is considered a consolidation liquidity area, right? So when consolidation goes into an area, it basically is building up pressure or price for a long period of time. And then what happens is that traders and proprietary investors and so forth, they will then shift price out of that zone because it's already established enough price to then mark it down to push price to previous lows or previous highs, to then move liquidity, because then obviously liquidity can't. It's like essentially think of liquidity as manure, right? Manure is essentially the key foundation for most plants and in growing things, right? So I use this analogy that I got from this one of this really great philanthropists. It's like, think of liquidity like manure. Manure will, if it's all piled up together, then it stinks. But if you spread it, then it grows things, right? So that's what happens when the market needs to move the liquidity. It can't be trapped in an area for a long period of time, because then it's just built up, so much built up pressure, you're doomed to have a nice breakout to the upside or the downside. So I want to actually show you guys something that I just saw with my naked eye right now. That is something that's very, very big on where a lot of people lose a lot of money at. And this is where I want to show you guys where price can be shown false manipulation, or just a I call it a sneak peek. So what happens is that we see a nice angular symmetrical triangle, right, to the breakout to the upside. So then we see that huge breakout where then price drove for about from $3,800 to around $4,000, right? So we had that nice breakout, right? We caught this, we took profit on this. So then what happens is that there's this thing called a false wedge breakout. So as you guys can see, this is considered a wedge. So what that means is that since a wedge was formulated, so I'm not going to go into depth too much, you guys, because I want to stay mostly focused on what we're going over today. But I want to show you guys exactly how a lot of traders can lose money and how we actually got out of this trade as well. So a false wedge breakout is when price is consolidating for a certain amount of time. As you can see, that price was consolidating, making those range formations, those lower lows and lower highs. And for about the date between from that high to that low was between 9 days, right? So then price broke out after that 9th day to that upside, and then what happens was consolidation of price was then happen again, where then traders will then be trapped thinking that market's going to go long, right? Because then they just had that breakout, so they'll trap price for about 4 days, giving you time to buy and buy and buy, build up the liquidity from one area, having that indication because of that breakout to the upside that market's going to go higher, right? Then after they have built up enough liquidity, as we talked about, they will shift the zone to stop out all the traders that were long on this position, right? So all the people that had their trailing stops right here and then had their stops below this previous low, they were essentially all taken out of the market, and then they drove price to the downside to do the same exact thing, where then they trapped price one more time, right? In this area, just to give them time to think, because now it's a short, people are going to then go higher. Okay, so hope that makes some sense for you guys, how the price moves sometimes, and how that these things that we think are going the right direction aren't, and they're just basically I like to call them sneak peeks. So they're giving you a sneak peek of where price is going to go, but before they go that way, they're going to stop out the previous traders in that liquidity area, and then they're going to drive price, right? So this is just a hypothesis as of right now, you guys. Price can definitely still go down, but as of right now, I definitely have a firm decision that price is definitely going to be going to the upside for Bitcoin, due to having that nice formation to the low side, having structure for a very long time now, where price has been showing some nice consistent structure, where then price has barely been able. So if I were to map this out, you guys, price has definitely been showing a nice consistency around this area. So right here is a perfect area of support. So we have 2 levels of support from this area. So I don't think price is going to move any lower than this. It could possibly retest 3,500, but if it does, then I really want to see it break to the upside. But everything's still speculative, you guys. We have to take it into consideration other type of formation. So the market momentum, as you guys can see on the MACD, is still showing very low volatility. So if we do see that nice break to the downside, we will have that retest at 3,500, and then we'll probably have that break to the upside. So that's what we want to see for Bitcoin, and that's my hypothesis for Bitcoin for moving forward. So going forward with Great Britain pound US dollar, we're in this trade right now, and the reason why that we're in this trade earlier is because what I really see happening right now is going to be a huge breakout. So why do I think that Great Britain pound is going to have a breakout? Where essentially it's going to have a nice huge pip range. Well, first off, yesterday we had that fundamental data that came out that basically was scaring. Well, it was the Brexit, right? It was the Brexit deal. So people are still thinking that the Great Britain pound is not going to be stable and so forth. And this is going to give a lot of speculating investors a hard time to have an accurate measure or have an accurate structure of where price is going to go in future notice. So what we want to see now is that price will first move to the upside. So what I want to see right now is that, as we can see, that consolidation of price has been showing this area for a very long time. So actually that was poorly drawn, excuse me. So let me actually do it this way. Give me 1 second, you guys. Any chance would you be another descending triangle and similar to our first drop from Jason, still near a lot of money? Yeah, so Justin, it's a possibility. Definitely, it's a possibility that price of Bitcoin could be going lower. But I'm not looking for it from a long-term perspective. I'm just looking at it for it to reach 4,000 or back to 4,000 right now on this particular trade. But in general, yeah, Bitcoin could definitely be still going short. It's still showing momentum to the downside. But yeah, I was just talking about it from just a short-term capital gain type profit before we see. So yeah, right now they're still showing resistance to the upside, a lot of resistance to the upside. So we're not going to be saying that price is going to be breaking out to the upside completely as of right now, because price is definitely showing momentum still to the downside. As we can see, the MACD is showing that there's still a lot of downside momentum. So we can see right here that MACD is showing a lot of downside momentum. So if we are seeing that, we're just having a quick reversal on that trade and then testing that for that previous high structure, and then probably maybe retesting those lows. So it's a possibility that price could be going higher or lower. It's just we'll take into consideration when the measurement comes to fruition. Excuse me. So with Great Britain pound, I really see that the breakout is going to be happening in the near future. Reason being is that since liquidity has been trapped in this area for such a long time, I mean, we can look at the dates. That's the date. We can see the dates from this previously structure has been going for about 68 days of price consolidation from even the lows of that spike. And I see that the 200 moving average, or excuse me, the 800 moving average is showing that it's showing a lot. So the 800 moving average is a really, really firm moving average I use for long-term perspective analysts. All right, so what I do for the 800 moving average is I see where it's a very key support level and resistance level. Like if you see the 800 moving average come into fruition, it's usually bound to have a really, 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 really firm support or resistance. So when you see the bounce off the moving average here at the 800, I can see that price is already going to go down because we're going with the trend. These are some nice short positions. But as we can see that price now, especially with this moving average crossover in this area, and we see the 800 moving average going to the upright, I want to see that price, and we can already see that consolidation of prices already showing this nice area of pressure being built. If we do see that breakout, I want to see price touch that 130 level and then having that area consolidate, maybe, and then having that area of the 800 be that support, and then we're going to see that drive to the upside for Great Britain pound in general. So this will essentially have a lot of time because a lot of these traders are still in the selling position. A lot of traders are still sold on the Great Britain pound US dollar. So eventually price is going to have to go and take price back, because what the ECN and what the market makers do is that they pre-expose their books initially, but then eventually they will take it back, they'll take profit back, and they will drive price the opposite direction to make profit for themselves. That's why they have these formations where price goes up, comes down, comes up, comes down, because they need to, they'll give you profit and then we'll take it back later on. It's just eventually there's a micro and macro scale when it comes to this element of structure. So that being said, price is definitely moving forward. Of course, brother, also can't close on the daily above the previous highs, so still very bearish on the macro scale. Yeah, so yeah, very bearish on Bitcoin right now. We're not really looking to go long for that long, just looking to do a nice, really just trying to see price retest on the 4,000. So if you guys didn't know, I'm not really a huge swing trader. I like to get in and out of my positions between 60 to 80 pips. And then if I do hold my positions a little longer, it's 120 to 140 pips. And that's usually like something that that's what I specify in. And I'm not really big on trying to find like the whole entire new trend of where price is going to be. I try just to give what market price is giving me at time, because then that gives me a better, I just feel more confident doing that way than I do if I'm trying to like try to have all these different types of terminologies and factors and technical analysts that really doesn't, really doesn't matter, because you can predict whatever wants to do. So if you just able to adapt to the situation where price is, it's a lot easier than doing that than just saying, okay, I'm gonna make a firm direction of where price is going to be, and not showing any type of congruency or solidarity. So that being said, with Euro USD, we're definitely going to be on this long position. We definitely just saw that this is a pocket. So what this means is that the market just dropped back for a second just to be able to have that pocket, or get back into the level of pocket, to show that price is definitely going to be going to the upside. As you can see, MACD is showing a lower, or very low at this time. So price is definitely going to be going to the upside. We're going to see a synchronicity between Great Britain pound and US dollar for the breakout. Theoretically, I don't have a reason, a really profound reason why I know there's going to be a huge breakout. I just know that between January and February, price runs really fast, because a lot of the bankers and institutions are trying to level their books or solidify a lot of the price that they lost on the previous yearly market share. So they're trying to obviously establish those trades and to leverage that out. So what I mean by that is that I want to see a nice zone hop. Could be 500 pips, could be 600 pips, where then price is going to excel and it's going to go a lot higher, and it's going to really increase over time. So that's where I see price going in the near future with both Great Britain pound and the US dollar. And to go forth with talking about price in general when it comes to having these indicators in general, it's not really essentially what we want to have available, but what is the price giving us in general. So what I mean by that is that price is going to give us only what it really wants to give us. So if that being said, we're only going to be able to make these adjust to these similarities that previous price is not always going to be exactly what future price is going to be. Sometimes it's different, where then they'll have a different type of breakout, they'll have a different type of structure, and it will show these different types. It won't be always the same thing because they can't keep it really easy. So we're going to see how this plays out tomorrow, or for the rest of the trade. We're going into Thursday, which we know, or I personally know, that it's either a huge run or a reversal for most trades. So for the USD JPY, we stopped out of that trade earlier, but I do believe price is going to short and go to the downside after it retests that 109 levels. And after we see that 109 level, probably see a retest back to that 108 108.50 to the 108.100 flat, which we'll definitely be looking into positions to go on that to the short position. So USD CAD is looking great as well for that upside. If you do see that retest to the upside, we'll definitely be seeing that M formation coming into completion, where then price will then retest these highs before it moves lower. We're definitely going to be seeing a nice downwards trend with the USD CAD, just because a lot of price has been hit. As you guys can see, that USD CAD after the new year took a total hit to the downside. I mean, it just free fall for about 380 pips, and then price is generally is just going to have to retrace. So yeah, around 380 pips. So price is just going to have that retrace to the upside to gain a little bit more momentum, and then come back to the downside. So if we're gonna definitely be looking for a nice trade for the USD CAD as well. So moving forward, you guys, all of the scenarios that we kind of already went over will be in the Discord. So I already priced in and did our market prediction when it comes to Bitcoin, and as you can see, Ethereum is just a playover of Bitcoin as well. It likes to do a lot of the same momentum and the same movements. So this was my hypothesis of what ETH or Ethereum was going to do. It's having that peak formation low with the consolidation to that high, and then that previous high, I want to see that retest and then break to the downside. If it breaks this downside and then it breaks lower, we're obviously going to just short. But if price wants to move higher, we will have that opposite structure and possibility of price moving a little bit higher. So we're definitely gonna be looking for that in the near future in our new trades as well. So with that being said, if you guys have any questions, feel free to put in the comments. I'm going to be definitely going into other stuff as well, because the Great Britain pound is pretty self-explanatory. The trade is going to be that breakout, that momentum to the upside, where price is definitely shooting out of this consolidation area, and then we have price coming out of this area to retest these previous highs, which is that November high of 2018. So we might see that could be the high of November. We're going to retest that high right now, and that could possibly be where we're going to see the next level be established. With using U.S. Treasury bond, we're going to definitely see the downward spike. We can see that price has already made that peak formation. Now it's consolidating, and we see that the MACD is showing that its market volume is definitely going to the downside, where we can already see that the moving averages are showing that there's more resistance now, but then price is definitely going to be shooting past this, going to the down year. So as you guys know, that the 10-year bond has a high effect in the dollar. So if we have a low treasury bond, then essentially we're going to have a weaker dollar. So a weaker dollar is going to have a lot more valid trades on other pairs as of currency cross pairs to the US dollar. So this is basically our lead way, as well as gold. If we see gold shooting up higher, then we know that the dollar is going to be going lower. And if we see the U.S. Treasury bond, then we know that the dollar is also going to be going lower. And if we have oil is priced into gold. Oil is priced into the dollar as well. So what we're going to be seeing probably for oil is this is just a swing high. We're probably going to see a retest and see a lower formation for oil as well. So big things are happening in the markets, you guys. We're going to definitely be having a lot of more signals coming out. As you can see, that Naeem had some really good signals yesterday, where he was showing some really great profits. He made around 110 pips on his 3 page. We are short right now on the AUD US dollar right now, and we're in profit right now. We're going to definitely be holding this trade for about a couple of days. This is going to be a swing trade for me, because I am skeptical about it going up higher right now, because the Australian dollar is still not very the currency power behind it is not super good right now. So I'm definitely going to be seeing that the price is going to be going to the downside one more time, not to test these lows, but to definitely be testing previous structure and then probably break to the upside. And if it doesn't, then we have a really tight stop. So we're definitely going to be having a nice trade on that point. So moving forward, I want to be going over Euro AUD as well. So Euro AUD, I told you guys that I was waiting for that nice setup to the downside. So as you can see, that price momentum is already being established now. So as you can see, that price made that swing high. So that swing low is very valid now. So we're definitely going to be seeing that upside momentum in the near future. We can see price just closed below that 800 moving average with that spinning top, which we're probably going to see that break to the upside just because the MACD is showing a high or a very low momentum, meaning that think of the MACD as a rubber band. So the lower that the price range goes down, or the lower that price, the value is down, the faster it's going to shoot up. So that's why when I talk about breakouts is that, and essentially since I have a rubber band on my wrist right now, I can tell you guys exactly what I mean. So the farther it goes away, you guys, right? If I'm going to pull this back as far as possible, it's going to come back quicker. But if I were to do it like slightly, it's not going to have as much velocity, not as much volume. So what we use the MACD as is essentially the same thing. The MACD is used as a volume indicator, momentum volume indicator. So when price is super high, right? When price is at these super highs, we're going to expect a huge retracement to the opposite area because price has to stay in value. It has to be in sync. It can't be in a chaotic formation for long because then inflation would take into consideration. Then obviously the value would be just too high that no one would be able to sustain that revenue or that value of that currency, right? So what happens is that there's the polarity or just the neutral zone where price will then move in and out. So the MACD is used as this volume indicator to dictate where price is going to have these break highs and these break lows. So that being said, what we want to see right now, as we can see that price has definitely made that peak formation low. We're going to see that nice formation to the low side. We see MACD already showing a low, so we're definitely going to be taking a long on this trade. And I'm going to be having our setup in the forex signals soon. I'm going to be actually holding this trade for a little bit longer. I'm going to make this a swing trade. I know I don't do a lot of swing trades, but I want to do one swing trade and keep you guys in the loop with that. So Euro AUD, I want to definitely have that as a swing trade for this trade, or for this trade in general. So I work on it, run, my friend. As always, work. Hey, thanks, Justin. Thanks for coming on, man. I really appreciate it. I will see you soon, and stay profitable, my friend. All right, talk to you soon. So that being said, we will then know we have the Great Britain pound Japanese yen, which was a nice trade to the down spike. But if we're going to see the upside now, we're going to see a breakout. So this is why since price is so low, for most of these pairs, I want to see a nice breakout to the upside or to the downside. Just because it's just showing so much volatility and it's just showing so much price range. So right now I feel like price right now is just going to have a nice reversal for the most part. We're going to see a nice reversal into the upside for most cross pairs to the US dollar, and trade in pairs that are already traded. Like if we see, as you can see right now, US dollar Japanese yen. Right now we're obviously out of this trade right now, but we're going to be we're short right now on this position. And the reason being is that we can see that it's already having exhaustion right now. Obviously, it's a little too early, so we're going to see that drawback to the downside, and then we're going to see the lower formation here. And the reason why that I'm short right now is, you guys, is that because price has been going up into a range consolidation for a while. We see the MACD flowing to the upside, and then we're going to see a nice break to the downside soon because we already know that price is still on a downtrend, right? So if we were to look at price, still this is a consolidation area, touch, retest, and then move probably to the higher and then come back down. We're still in a downwards trend, and as you guys can see that the MACD is already high on this level, so we're going to be definitely looking to go short on the USD Japanese yen as of right now, where price is definitely not going to have it. So hey Brenton, is there a big difference between RSI and MACD? Not really. So all of them are lagging indicators. So RSI is essentially the same thing, but it has a different momentum value. So, but you can use stochastics or RSI as the same thing. They really do have the same valid momentum, and they're really valuable indicators, right? So a lot of traders use the MACD as well, especially if you're doing scalping. If you're using that 15-minute time frame or 30-minute time frame, you can definitely be able to make some profits by buying at that low, at the high when stochastics or MACD is low. You sell or you buy low and then you sell when it gets super high. So there's definitely a lot of similarities with those two different indicators. But in general, Michael, they're both really good ones, and they both are the same. One just shows more of a momentum aspect than the other one does. So yeah. So that being said, you guys, I'm going to wrap this video up a little early today, just because we've definitely covered a lot of stuff, and I want to make sure that tomorrow I save a lot for tomorrow as well. We're going to be able to talk about when the breakout does happen or if it's going to happen, as well as market predictions on most pairs and situations, and then also going to be putting in more trading styles and more specific things that I look for when I'm looking for price, especially like areas where I have like price breakouts, price retracements, and then we have those double ups and double bottoms. I want to be able to specify that more often and to be able to look at previous structure of price and showing you guys the valid elements on where price is going to go in the near future. So hopefully that you guys got a lot out of this video. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to put in the Discord. I'm going to be there right after here. I'm going to be also doing a market health update for you guys on some of these pairs, so you guys will have a lot of the visualization of what I believe price is going to do. And yeah, so I hope you guys have a great day, and thank you so much for being on today, and thank you guys so much for just being a part of Traders Profit Club. Have a good day, guys. Remember, stay profitable.